Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I am Luke Owen and this is Wrestling News. We open today's episode by sending our congratulations to Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who has now officially become the longest reigning AEW World Champion of all time, passing Kenny Omega's previous record of 346 days. Next up, Roman Reigns. Let's keep the title on him forever. Unless, of course, Eddie Kingston gets a title shot, in which case, put the belt on Eddie Kingston. The answer should always be put the belt on Eddie Kingston. Sorry, MJF. We move our attention now to this weekend's WWE Crown Jewel, which takes place in the beautiful, glorious, so progressive city of Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. The show will be headlined by Roman Reigns versus LA Knight for the Universal Championship, Seth Rollins defending his title against Drew McIntyre, and Bianca Belair looking to unseat Io Sky as the women's champion. While we are slightly looking ahead to Survivor Series for the big returns in the form of either Randy Orton or CM Punk, or maybe even both, there has already been one major return for WWE confirmed for this Saturday. Pre-show matches. Sami Zayn will take on JD McDonough on the pre-show, which will be the first pre-show match in WWE since last year's Clash at the Castle. Does anyone remember? Anyone remember what that was? I tell you what, I'll give you a few moments to have a think on that. Have you got it? It was Madcap Moss and the Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Alpha Academy. No, really, it was. You can see why they stopped doing them, really. But a bigger return could be in the form of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Vince wormed his way back into WWE following his retirement last year amid several sexual misconduct allegations, with the Trojan horse plan of selling the company so he could take back control and be in charge of creative once again. This spectacularly blew up in his face, though, as he sold the company and all of his control and has been forced out of the creative process so he could focus on selling off the TV rights fees, which is really being done by Nick Khan anyway. I mean, look, he has made more money in this deal than I'll ever have in 10 lifetimes, but still, lol. It's been a few weeks since Vince was removed from putting his grubby fingers in the WWE creative pie, and the shows have been much better for it. But fans had questions about his status at this weekend's Crown Jewel after he was photographed and interviewed in Saudi Arabia last weekend ahead of Tyson Fury's boxing match. Not only did he attend the red carpet with The Undertaker of all people, he was also photographed ringside with Mike Tyson and Eminem. Give me your name of that 90s wrestling faction in the comments down below. The Saudi connection is a big one for Vince and his legacy with WWE. It is a moneymaker that has seen their two shows in the country each year since 2018 earn more dollar bucks for the company than any WrestleMania in history. There were even rumors and reports that Vince was going to sell WWE to the Saudi government earlier this year. So him being there in Saudi Arabia ahead of Crown Jewel understandably rang some alarm bells for fans. However, according to Fightful Select, it is unlikely that Vince McMahon will be at Crown Jewel this Saturday, as he's already gone home. In fact, he flew home on Saturday after the boxing match finished. Most of the WWE talent for Crown Jewel flew out yesterday. This week's edition of SmackDown was taped last Friday, and Sean Ross Sapp adds in his Fightful Select report that if Vince and Taker do attend, they'll be making a second trip. But Vince and pre-show matches aren't the only returns on the books. But we'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, here's a word from Turbo Jack.
I'm doing the splits now. I'm doing perfect splits on two opposite chairs. You just couldn't see it. But hey, I'm 80s wrestler Turbo Jack. And because of my investment in a new kind of pasta-making machine that had to be recalled due to Foley errors and a couple of deaths, here I am to read WrestleTalk's special Patreon wrestling-dedicated nicknames. If you want a special wrestling nickname, you gotta go to patreon.com/1/things WrestleTalk. So thank you. The Machine Gun, Alex Anderson. The Roller Acosta, Robert Acosta. The Black Blade, Butch Ross. Connor the Crusher Bailey. Champion Zero Fear, Hitman_Soul. The Cleaner, Kenny Sher. The British Bulldog, Philip Boy J. Smith Jr. He can last Sean Fur longer than you in the ring. Not this guy, though. Starbucks, Stephen Carsten. And the Shield Maiden, that's our niece. Remember, if you want your own special dedicated wrestling nickname, go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, where there's loads more exclusive content.
AJ Styles has been off TV since September when he was taken out of his tag match against the Bloodline at Fastlane, where he was replaced with LA Knight. And according to PW Insider, we should be seeing the return of Styles on the November 10th edition of SmackDown, which could push him into a program with Roman Reigns leading into the Royal Rumble. And while SmackDown posted quite a low number for this past Friday due to its move to FS1, losing over 1 million viewers from the previous week despite Roman Reigns being advertised for the show, WWE Raw also posted a near record low for this week's broadcast. The show drew an average rating of 1.39 million viewers, with the main event of Sami Zayn vs Damian Priest drawing just 1.2 million viewers, one of the lowest main events in the show's illustrious history. WrestleNomics' breakdown of the viewership shows a huge dip in the third hour, which also featured the trick or street fight. As expected, the low number is down to the stiff sports competition. The NFL games drew a combined audience of over 15 million people, while the World Series had over 8 million viewers. However, both of those numbers are also down from previous years. But don't worry, folks, it's not all bad news, as while the show was down in males 18 to 34 and the over 50s, the show drew a very solid 0.43 in the overall 18 to 49 demo. As Dave Meltzer writes for Figure 4, it's not a bad number at all given the competition. WrestleNomics Breakdown also posts something very interesting, which is the highest rated segment of the show, and this is the entire show, mind, was the Miz TV segment with Gunther. That segment drew 1.6 million viewers, which then dropped off once that segment ended and the DIY match started. It is a credit to the lasting power of The Miz and the great job WWE have done with the presentation of Gunther. And speaking of drawing power as champions, it was a fascinating number for AEW Collision over the weekend, which drew a quite disappointing 472,000 viewers, down nearly 9% from the previous week, despite advertising a world title match between MJF and Kenny Omega. Like Raw, the show faced stiff competition from Sport, which had over 25 million viewers tuning in between the NFL and World Series. But the interesting part comes from that title match. The usual pattern for wrestling ratings on TV is it's like this. It starts high and then it'll dip throughout the night. There might be spikes here and there, look at Miz and Gunther from Raw, but by the end of the night, it's usually at its lowest point, unless it's the overrun, which will see a spike as new viewers are tuning in to see the next show. But this week's Collision started at 465,000 viewers and stayed steady with that number across the first 3 quarters before jumping up sharply once the main event started. When you compare this to the quarter-hour ratings for last week's Dynamite, it's a similar story. That show started hot for the first half hour with MJF, Bullet Club Gold, and Omega, but dropped off once that angle ended. It's interesting from several points of view, and I'm sure it'll be a topic of discussion when it comes to AEW renegotiating their TV deal with Warner and MJF's contract if, he hasn't already signed a new deal, which the scuttlebutt is he already has. It's just more of the fascinating WWE versus AEW war, which will kick into another gear next year. Last week, WWE announced they'll be taking their pay-per-views overseas once again with Bash in Berlin in Germany. This is on top of their announcement that Elimination Chamber will take place in Australia next year. And Fightful Select reports there could be another pay-per-view in Europe when WWE takes Backlash to Paris, France. If that Paris show does get confirmed, that will be 5 overseas pay-per-views when you include the 2 Saudi shows. Nearly half of WWE's pay-per-views next year won't be in North America, which is an incredible stat and a sign of how big and hot the company is right now. But the timing of Bash in Berlin shouldn't go unnoticed, because that show will take place on August 31st, 2024, which is 1 week after AEW's All In Wembley Stadium. The idea being that WWE will force the traveling European fans who made up a good portion of this year's All In crowd to choose which show they want to go to. Do you fly to Germany and see Bash at Berlin, or do you fly to England for All In? Dave Meltzer added to this on Wrestling Observer Radio that this was WWE looking to mess with the All In 2024 attendance. And I do see you in the comments. If you think that this isn't anything more than just a coincidence, you've not been studying your history. But that is enough of the wrestling war for now, as it's now time for my NXT 1 minute, 1 take review. And this should be quite the doozy because we are having some prompter issues. Pete has actually sat right by the camera to adjust the prompter when I get things wrong. So I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock, please, Pete. If you start, yeah, back there, we'll do us. Ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Shotzi and Scarlett dressed as the Ghostbusters with an Ecto-1s. This is already a 5-star show. The Creed brothers beat Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo in a TLC match, and it looks like Joe Gacy is getting a character reboot. Tiffany Stratton and Fallon Henley's match didn't get started, and they did a series of skits with Metaphor dressed as the cast of Scooby-Doo searching for the Heritage Cup. Dominic Mysterio retained his title over Nathan Frazier, and Wes Lee returned to attack Dominic Mysterio. Bron Breakker beat Mr. Stone with a wicked spear, and Von Wagner came out to brawl with him. Lyra Valkyria got a video promo, and Screams cut a promo on behalf of OTM. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven retained their tag titles over Chase U, and Lola Vince beat Kalani Jordan to win the breakout tournament, and the main event saw Ilya Dragunov retain his NXT Championship over Carmelo Hayes after Trick Williams returned. That's the third of the night to distract Hayes for the finish. The show ended with Baron Corbin laying out Dragunov for your next title program. There's still 7 seconds on the clock.
Lola Vince.
Yep, that's a typo.
Yep.
Yep.
Lola Vice.
Lola Vice.
Actual name.
There was a typo in my script there, Pete. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good though.
But also Lola Vince.
Yeah, Lola Vince, everyone. She won the breakout tournaments. Big things for Lola Vince. It's in the name. Anyway, that's all from me. Go and check out the latest Parts Fun Known video, which counts down the 10 greatest United States Championship reigns. Thank you very much, Pete.
Thank you, Luke.
You were a great help.
Yeah, I am.
Yes,
You're right.
you were. You're a great help.